step in. Jordan, I need to take a nap. Can you come in?
The problem is,
tap out.
Yeah. This boy, ever since he got out of that place,
Rehab.
is quite the
mental rehabilitation.
Out of the funny farm, he has been a talker, talking.
I've been talking to everybody for 4 hours minimum.
But last night, Jordan finally stepped in.
We're
and
on
went,
camera now.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. You used his name without asking.
Come on,
Jordan, can I use your name? Last night, Jordan had to actually tell him, "Why don't you be quiet so he doesn't make you tell a story?"
Yeah. No, but that's why I wanted Jordan to stay here, so he could talk to you guys and know that he can.
That's good.
Anyway, would you like to start this off?
Yeah. This is what's in the box. And we're gonna do kind of a roundish table.
Try to put a round table into a square, a square table into a round.
Because we're gonna talk about mental health, which is something that I've talked about many times on here with different people, but somebody wanted to talk about it, so I thought it would be really awesome because we can have other points
instead of getting an old person's point of view.
Yeah, instead of just me talking about the same thing. So, introduce yourselves.
I'm Zion. My first name is Jeremiah, but I love my middle name more than my first name.
Because I gave it to you. Anyway.
My name's John. I'm a mental health aholic.
A mental healthaholic.
And
hi, John.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
I'm Lori. I'm Mom. You've seen me before.
Super cool. The understanding one.
She puts up with me.
Anyway, so you had a thought. You called this thing to order. So what was your thought in wanting to talk about?
Indeed, I did. A lot. I want to start with you guys' point of views on medication.
Medications? Yeah, I can.
Especially
you keep looking at me.
Especially to start as when your kid's before teen. Because I personally feel you shouldn't be putting your kid on any type of medication before they're a teenager. And if you are, if they severely need it, you should be doing that with them.
I think I would agree with that. I think, and I've said this, I think...
He wants to join in.
Putting kids on medication, like you said, other than they really need it or it's a health concern more so than depression medication or stuff like that. They need it to function and work through. But just my kid has, in my opinion, ADHD medication and depression medication and stuff like that, I think is more harmful to give to kids before their teen years than it is for them to figure it out later. Because you're mixing a lot of different things that don't have follow-up. Especially with depression medication. Your hormones are changing. You're changing on who you are, what you think, your mental state during those states. And if you add a medication in there in the mix, it's going to alter that in you that's already moving and changing and stuff. And I think that could be more harmful than helpful at that point.
I think you can't make a blanketed statement like that. I think it depends on the child. I think if you choose to put your child on a medication, you need to really listen to them and listen to how they're feeling about the medication once they're on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if your child needs it, you don't want to wait until whenever.
Until they're done being a teenager and then be like, well, yeah, that conversation we had, now you can start.
Yeah. But I do think that you need to really listen because we'll say, one of your siblings, we needed to put on medication. And I think at the time it was probably something that needed to happen because his, I want to say, behaviors were
impacting other
yeah,
things.
it was impacting his learning and that kind of
Narrows it
stuff.
down to who it was.
But then, yeah, well, he's going to know anyway.
So one of your siblings, he.
Yeah, that's fine.
But anyway, I think that decided not to do that, and I think you have to be respectful of that. But you also have to explain, if we take you off of this, then you need to know how to deal with this on your own. You can't just say, "Oh well, I'm."
I think that's my bigger point in that is that I feel like if you are going to put your kids on any sort of medication, that one, you as a parent, I know it's difficult because we have to work and we have, especially when you have multiple children and stuff, it's a little more difficult. But I think if you're going to, you need to put that as something that you're doing as a parent. You need to check in. You need to be like, hey, how's this working out for you? Has anything changed? How are you feeling? Like, even in an annoyance way.
Mm-hmm.
Because without that, like I said before, without you as a parent checking in with those things, your kid is going through all of these changes
things, yes,
while trying to figure out this medication.
Mhm.
And so like it would be difficult for them if you're like, hey, how are you feeling? And even without the medication, they wouldn't know how they were feeling because they're going through it. And they say, hey, I don't know what's going on. And you just go, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like,
you
that's
need
not-
to have them describe it, because you're right. Children don't always know how to put into words how they're feeling, so you have to ask for a description.
Yeah.
So
Like sometimes all they can say is, I don't know, or I know I'm not okay, but I don't know why.
yeah.
Hey,
And
could I point out a stupid sidebar? You can tell me I'm stupid.
You're stupid.
So say it's you and I,
Mhm.
okay? And all you really need is someone to talk to and someone to listen to you.
Mhm.
But instead, me as a parent, I don't have time for you. I'm going to throw medication at you
Yeah.
to for lack of better word,
To quiet the
to quiet you down.
for sure.
And all you really needed was just somebody to listen to you.
And that was kind of that was kind of what I was thinking about when it comes to that too. Is like that's why I switched it from like needing it to like just putting. I'm not saying you can't try medication because I've said to other people, it's better to know sooner rather than later. But also with that, you also need to understand where your child is at too. Throwing medication at it is nice for the short term as a parent because you're like,
I feel like they mean it at heart in a good way.
Yeah.
But then it's easily overdone. Like, because I know people who's like, if I were to stop taking medication, there's a very good likelihood that I would pass away because your body adapts to it, and now it's a normal thing that your body is going to need.
Well, also
to thrive.
the come down, especially from like anxiety and depression medication, the come down from that is ridiculous. That most doctors don't. I mean, they mention it, but most doctors don't really like
put a priority on.
Yeah,
it.
put a priority
really
on like
serious.
this is going to fuck. This is going to fuck you up once you come down from this. Mm-hmm. And also to that point, I feel like there should be work done in that too. That, okay, my head's fucked up. I got this medication that kind of focuses. I'm able to deal with this. Okay, now that I got this, which is where I think a lot of people make the mistake when they get mental health medication, is that they just go, oh, the voice has stopped. So, okay, we'll just go about our day now because this is cool. I don't have to deal with this. Instead of doing the work of, okay, now that this is quiet, now that I don't have to deal with all of this, how can I get better? So if this comes back, how?
Right.
Because it's also like you're not doing the medication just so those things stop. You're doing the medication so that those things stop, and then you can move on and grow and be better.
And have the ability to really work through the things and get to the root of where those things come from.
Yeah.
And not say, okay, it helped me. I'm good now. I don't need to take them anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and I
that's
have
the other thing too, is that I don't think that that's emphasized enough either, is that you're taking the medication to help get rid of all this other mess and symptoms.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean, it's not fixing you, it's just making that stuff go enough away that you can, like you said, that then you can work on trying to fix that.
Yep.
And I think, so people either say, oh, I'm better, and then they're like, oh, I don't have to take it anymore because I'm better.
Mhm.
Or they, like you said, the opposite thing is, oh, well, this made me better. I don't have to do any other stuff.
I have so many adult friends that have been on medication since they were teenagers, some of them younger,
Mm-hmm.
and they cannot function without them.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it to where because
So now it's an addiction.
well, this is not really an addiction, but just they haven't, kind of like what I was saying before, they haven't done any of the work. It's just been a problem solved for their entire life.
That's why
I take this pill and I'm quote normal. But like obviously as an adult, like things happen. You lose your job, you don't have enough money to pay for the medication, you can't get to a doctor to get re-upped on medication. And I've seen grown adults like crash out because they can't afford, they have to wait 3 days for payday to get their prescription. And in that 3 days, like it's bad. Because they haven't done any of the work to have like things in place or tools in place of like, okay, when this goes away, how am I going to be able to navigate in real life while still dealing with this?
You need your
That's why I won't go any higher on my doses. I'm like, okay, I can tell this is helping, but I still want to be able to feel my emotions.
That was one of my biggest problems when I was under pressure medication, is that I wasn't able to do that. That it would just make me like fogged.
Yeah.
And I did it then. I did it then too when I was on it. I saw it as a light switch. It was like, oh, cool. Like I told you a while ago, like it was like, oh, this is how normal people feel. Like it was just like oh shit, normal people walk around feeling this like all the time.
And that was a big reason why I couldn't talk to people, because like I don't lie, but like once you ask me certain questions, my brain will like shut off, and I won't be able to think, okay, what happened that made me feel this way? What did someone do that hurt my feelings or put me in the bad place where I'm feeling like this?
And that's a hard thing to, in my opinion, that's a hard thing to learn too, because especially at a younger age, and the more you practice doing it, the easier it'll be. Of one, I don't know is a good enough answer, but also like
It's not you in your depression.
being able to recognize those things in the moment. That way, like when you are looking back or when somebody does tell you, it'll trigger in your brain of like, oh no, even, and I'll go so far as even when you start working through past trauma and stuff, it'll be one of those things that'll just automatically trigger in your head of you're like, oh, I really wasn't mad at you. I was mad because
it reminded me of.
Yeah, I was mad because the smell in this reminded me of this thing that happened before that made me mad.
I'm pretty bad on that, like PTSD, like certain songs, cars, places, smells, anything will remind me of stuff.
I think that's kind of crazy in itself if you think about it, that those things can trigger. I mean, you don't have to have any kind of mental disorder or anything, or any kind of thing. Smells and sounds and songs and certain words and phrases can remind you of all kinds of stuff. And I think people don't really have that realization about that, it may not even be the person you're around. It may be somebody from 10 years ago or something that happened from 10 years ago, and that reminds you.
That's part of my thing when people talk about grief, like losing somebody, is that people are like, well, why are you still upset about that? But it has a lot entanglement in that of like we're wired that way for memory. We're wired that way of like smells and sounds, especially are going to trigger in your brain. And so like people that are like, oh, they died however many years ago, why are you so upset, or why are you so sad about that, or why are you crying at the song, is because like it's a memory that triggers for everybody. You just don't have that attachment to that I do.
Yeah.
So like, and it's okay to feel those things. It doesn't mean you're not quote over it. It just means that that's just how the human brain works.
Right. I would also say that as far as that goes, as far as grief goes, you're never going to get over that grief. It may be a different way. You may grieve in a different way down 10 years from then.
You'll just find like better and healthier.
Hopefully.
Me,
you know.
I can't remember if I talked to you about this or Kelly. I can't remember. But it's one of those things that I learned, and one of us talked about, of like, you just learn to live without that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that
you build your life.
It's not that you. It's not that. It's not that they lose significance. It's not that you don't remember them anymore. Mm-hmm. It's that your life just builds without them. That past still exists. Those memories still exist. It's just the future. You just learn to like, okay, we're going to have a Christmas without this person. We're going to have this without this person. And the longer time goes on, the more
you learn
the more you just accept that, like, yeah, this is what we do.
Yeah. I was telling Grandma and Grandpa, like, I don't like all these holidays because a lot of average people don't know what they're actually about. Christmas has nothing to do with presents. It's about spending time with your family.
What?
And the people you actually care about.
I just had this discussion yesterday, the day before, that also Christmas wasn't Christmas on the 25th. It was just a convenient.
Yeah, that's
it
what
was a
Grandma just said. She was like, "Well, Christmas is the celebration of Jesus' birthday," and I was like, "No, it's not."
Well, that's what it was for.
Any person who knows a little bit about it knows that it's not.
But the celebration of Christ's birth is what we've turned what Christmas was originally supposed to be for. And I think if we keep that in, then you can still celebrate that.
And you can celebrate. I said this when I was talking about it.
It doesn't have to be on the 25th.
Well, you can celebrate whatever. It doesn't really, you know what I mean? Like Zion said, even if you boil it down to the holidays about spending time with your family and giving or whatever, everybody can do that. It doesn't matter if it's because of Christ or because of the solstice or because of whatever.
Right.
You can boil it down to whatever you want. But the point is that like it was done so like you could have community with the people around you.
Yes.
And like I understand the presents, like it's a physical form of way of showing, hey, it's Christmas. I was thinking about you and got this for you.
Well, my thought about present. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. My thought about the present giving and Christmas is because when the kings came, they gave the myrrh and frankincense and gold to Jesus.
Yeah.
So because of that, that's why we give presents. That's how I was always raised. Yeah. So we give presents because when Jesus was born, then he got these presents from the kings.
So everybody,
I feel like some people pay too much attention to the value of presents. Like
I do agree.
You're like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, I don't know. And you're like, do you want me to just give you money? And I'm like, sure.
I would say that.
I literally said, just write me an actual heartfelt card.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I appreciate that a lot more.
I feel like that transfers over to any relationship, like friendship, being in a romantic relationship, or even like kids or family, is that I think that transfers over to everything. Like people, the car outside is a good gift. It's a shocking gift. It's a woo, you paid all this money to get me something. But the things that people remember and the things that last past that year, for as far as presents go, are the things that like are heartfelt or meaningful, or like
Yeah.
you didn't just get the same hat I gave everybody in the family. Yours has something specific to you.
Yeah. It's not like I'm giving you this present to make me feel better about myself.
Yes.
It's supposed to be about I'm giving you this present because I know this is what you like.
And it doesn't have to, and I've said that about parents and children, is that although a lot of parents think this is the case because a lot of kids suck, and a lot of kids initially will be like, yeah, I want $1,000. But I think the more as parents we start understanding what our kids really want, or um, catering more towards like having an experience with them rather than, well, I bought them the new this or the new this or the new this. I think that it would kind of bring back the value of what presents actually are.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like it's pushed everywhere that the value of presents is how much the present costs, not what the present is.
Yeah.
Well, that was like when I was telling you about your grandfather and what he wanted to buy for
Someone.
someone.
Mhm.
And that his exactly what he said is I could give him the same, I'm sorry, I could give him the same thing as I give to everybody else. And then once that's gone,
That's gone.
there's nothing there. So wouldn't it be better to give something that's going to stick and be there for, and be a constant reminder and be there forever? That's going to be, and he was like, that's why he went and got that. He was like, because, everybody else is going to go and get something with it. That would not be something that he would be able to do. So,
I'm gonna ask a question,
mhm.
and anybody can feel free to answer.
Right.
How
Pick me.
how do you deal with your mental health or acknowledge it, or do you?
Music, lots and lots of music. And
For
like
sure.
if it gets really bad, then I'll go outside and like put my fist in the snow.
Mhm.
I'll still be listening to music.
So I'll tie into that with listening to music. Are you listening to get out of that, or or the music you're listening to feeding it?
I feel like before I went into the mental hospital, it was feeding it. Now it's like a mix. Like, some of it's like relating to it, but I use like YouTube Music, so I just put it on likes instead of making playlists. So it'll be a mix. It'll be like, okay, I can really compare to that. I can understand that, and that's deep. Then the next song will be like upbeat and
A
like
goofy song.
more happier and like more positive. I think I listen to way more positive music now.
Because there's music is a good way to kind of deal or acknowledge emotions, because like we said before, your brain is kind of wired that way. But I think people get stuck in a cycle of I'm sad, so I'm gonna listen to sad music.
Yeah.
And although that's good, and I say this as a transitional thing of it's good when you're in a negative mood to listen to negative music, but only as an acknowledgement, not as a we're gonna sit in this forever.
Exactly.
Of if you're sad, it's okay to listen to a sad song to acknowledge, oh, we're feeling this emotion right now. But then figure out, especially with music, figure out a way to bend your way out of it.
Yes.
Like go to this song and transition your way out of that, instead of some people sit in it because they're like, I feel this, I want to feel this, I want to feel this, I want to feel this, I'm feeling, and they're not doing anything to help the situation.
To help the situation. Yeah. I agree with that. I think that's a very easy, especially with like grief and sadness and stuff like that. I think it's very easy to stay in that and not be able to see like that there's light at the end of the tunnel. It may not be the light it was before, by no means, but there is a light there and it will be a different type of grief. It won't be as, I don't know what the word would be, like it won't be as harsh, maybe. It won't be as, I think some people hold on to it.
Potent.
Yeah, I think some people hold on to it because they're afraid if they don't hold on to it,
What's going to happen?
that they're
after
being disrespectful to the person they lost.
True.
And I don't know, because I've been trying to do this since my mom passed, because I don't think, knowing my mom, that she would want me to sit in that.
Mhm.
She was never that type of a person.
Mhm.
She was always very happy, very joyful, and I don't think she would want me to be sitting there being sad all the time.
Mhm.
Even though I'm still miss her every day, I don't think that's a good representation for her.
Mhm.
So
That was another thing, as I said, that I don't want to celebrate Christmas anymore
Mhm.
because Grandma's not here, and
Mhm.
it's not going to be the same. But at the same time, I can flip that and be like, okay, now I can celebrate Christmas for her
Mhm.
and just acknowledge that the
I-
memories we did have with her.
I do want to take a minute because I was just talking to Cheryl about this too, about this specifically. Is that I feel like everybody is allowed is a bad word because it's not permission for me, but everybody is able to grieve and do whatever they need to get over things. But I told Cheryl, I was like, but that part of it is what makes it rough for me. Is like for example, I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but for example, Grandma did reindeer games every year, so there's gonna be part of our family that's going to be like, we need to do this. We need to do this because this is part of what we did, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. But then there are other parts of our family that are going to see that as like, I don't want to.
Yeah, it's like
That
disrespectful.
hurts. Like not so much disrespectful, but more so of like
that was Grandma's
it.
thing.
Yeah, it hurts to see this thing,
Mm-hmm.
and both of those are valid. But I feel like other people, we need to give each other grace in those moments too, of like, they're not trying to be mean. They're not trying to be mean to you who doesn't want to play reindeer games, or vice versa. The person that is like, I'd rather opt out of this because I don't want to, is not being mean to you because you want to do these things.
Yeah.
And I think acknowledgement of that, not only in yourself, but acknowledgement around the people around you, that like some people just don't understand things from your perspective, and you can't expect them to understand where you're coming from all the time. Now, that's not to say that you should give excuses for that either. Like if somebody's blindly not recognizing that, like, hey, this person really doesn't want to do this thing, and they're like, that fucking sucks. Do it anyway. Like, that's not saying that you should you should just let that go. You should speak up and say that, but I think most of us have a more of a, and it's not on purpose, I don't think, but we have a main character energy in how we feel more emotionally than what we're doing. We're able, when we're doing stuff, we're able to kind of see like, oh, I bumped into this person, my bad, or like they weren't trying to do this, or they, you know what. But when it comes mentally for us, we have a very main character energy of like, how can they not know? Like, how can they not understand? Like, and I think when you're able to step outside of that and look at it as, oh, they might also be going through something, or they might not see these things, or even though I think my face is like, pay attention to me, like they might not see that.
Multiple perspectives.
Yeah, and especially I think that predominantly pushes into grief and stuff is because we think of it as this is what we need, instead of like Cheryl said this when me and her were talking about it, and not pointed towards anybody, but like, of like, she was like, all of you lost somebody in a different way, and all of you have a different reality of that person. Like, you know, and she was like your mom's version of who your grandma is a lot different than Tiffany's and yours, and even the boys and everything. She's like, so you guys also need to acknowledge that like all of you did. So you can't be like, you know, I lost a grandma and I'm fucked up about this thing. Like they did too, and like stuff like that. So I think once you step outside of like your own shit and start to look at it as like, oh, other people might be going through stuff too.
Oh no,
I think
I
it
totally agree with that. I've been
helps.
trying to say that since we have lost people this last year, that, you know, we lost multiple people. And because you didn't lose your mom doesn't mean you didn't have a
Mhm.
loss. Just
Mhm.
because you didn't lose a child doesn't mean that you didn't have a loss.
Mhm.
You had the same loss, like you said, you had the same loss. You probably have the same, you know, I mean, I will say that I look at it as that I lost my mother, but I also look at it as my my mother is losing out on all these things that I'm going to go through with my grandkids and my children that she's not going to get to see. And she was very much into, I mean, she's not going to see. I know she's going to see it in her space, but I'm not going to get to see her see
With
that.
her, yeah.
And with her.
Mhm.
I'm not going to get to see my grandchild in certain events that, you know, like I'm never going to see him graduate high school.
Mhm.
I'm never going to get to see him have his first concert, his 1st
Mhm.
Christmas concert and stuff. And so, although my hole in grief is not the same as others, that I still have those same losses,
Mhm.
and nobody's loss is I don't feel
Is bigger
is
than
bigger
the other
than
one.
another's loss.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that people don't see.
That's what Peter was saying, is perspective.
Yep, definitely.
So how do you because I'm gonna say this in a wrong way, you can fight me on it. Because you don't believe in depression. How do you deal with yours?
Because you don't believe in depression, how do you deal with yours?
Yeah.
I am very thankful that I don't have a lot of depression. However, I've had moments, your mom can contest to. It just takes me time to just get out of my funk. I can appreciate, and nothing bad toward anybody at this table, I can appreciate that I don't have the issues.
Mhm.
But
I'm not as fucked up as the rest.
No, because that's an incorrect statement. Because although it might not be depression, I am pretty screwed up in my head in a lot of different things. OCD is a good one, that your mom has had to put up with. It's really, really good, in my opinion, to have someone like her in your life. It could be spouse, brother, sister, child, that you can get it out of you, instead of, I think the worst part of it all is trying to hold it in, and that nobody understands. And if you can't get it out of you, then nobody can help you either. So I think a lot of it is you.
That was a big thing I was complaining about. Is like, I'm telling you I'm not okay, and I don't know how I feel, but I can't tell you why. And so then I felt ignored because like
it doesn't seem
I don't
that
know.
important.
Right. I feel like other people looking at it are like, well, I don't know what else you want me to do. Like, I'm here to talk to you about it. But if you can't talk, what else am I supposed to do for you? Kind of thing.
Well, you can leave that open-ended though too, and say, but I hope if there's a time that you can, I will always be here when you need someone to talk to.
Yeah, that's what I try to let people know all the time. Is like, I'm here for you no matter how close we are or not. I will always talk to you, and I will always listen. And whether you want me to just listen, whether you want my opinion, I'll give it to you.
It's kind of like
without
AA
judging
thing.
you.
Yeah.
That I need to call my sponsor.
And I think as people, we're naive to think that we don't need anybody else.
Yeah.
I think, and I'll give you a little history lesson just because it's fun. But as a people, as like human beings, we came from tribal essence. We came from the tribe culture of like we had people that were specifically had specific jobs in the tribe, and that was what it was. And we were all together, and our kids were together, and our elders. I talked about this on the podcast that I just did a couple of days ago. Our elders, a, it was not a responsibility. It was something that they looked forward to when they got older, to pass on their wisdom, to pass on what they've learned, what they could do, their stories, not just like, here's how to be a better hunter, but when I was out in the field doing this, this is what happened. Like, it privilege, that was the word I was looking for. It was their privilege to do that, not a job. Whereas I feel like now we've kind of, as people, we've kind of lost that.
Yeah.
Of like, we're in a,
I was going to ask,
good job at raising your hand.
when did we lose this? Because I'll go back to, like, say, my grandparents or great grandparents.
Mhm.
At that time, you don't talk about this. You just, how you down deep in you would do that. When did we have this?
I wouldn't say mental health wise. I'm just saying overall, which I feel like plays into where we are mental health wise now. And I would like to think, and I've said this before, I would like to think that my generation kind of going into generation after mine kind of focused more on this, which is where we're getting a lot of like our mental health stuff from. Why it's so important is that I feel like around my generation to a little before, a little after, kind of raised the flag of like, it's not okay that we're having the same cycle over and over again and nobody's fixing it.
But then in that same thing, then did it become more, you're doing the tribal. Okay, so now I'm thinking about me and my mental health. So now I'm becoming more about me and less about family.
Yes.
And so now it's becoming a me thing.
And there's a lot of other things that play into that, but yes, I would say that you kind of have a give and take on that. But also going back to what I was saying about the tribalness of it is that I feel like when we started coming into our, especially the Industrial Revolution side of it, where everybody's working long hours for nothing, and people come home and can't really do anything with their kids other than sleep and then have to go back. Like, you also lose that of like, I don't want to sit down and talk about like what's going on or my day or funny stories that have happened to me. I don't got time. I have to sleep and then get back to work. And so I feel like that carried into where we kind of had it, because I remember, I mean, your parents and your dad specifically, I mean, carried that forever. Like, they always told stories. They always, whether you wanted to hear them or not, you would come to their house and you would hear something. You would hear something. You would hear some story, So there was still that aspect to it. But I feel like specifically when we started trying to attack the mental health aspect that wasn't being addressed for generations before us, that it did kind of retreat that of like, well, we need to work on us, which took away from that, because then now you're working on you instead of like, whereas that's why I like doing these, is because it's kind of a middle ground of both, to where like you can still work on yourself, but you're also putting it out there to where other people can hear the stories that like I'm telling or you're telling, or where, so like it is of self-reflection working on it, but also it's in a way of like putting it out there to where it is still pushing that, like telling stories and wisdom and stuff like that.
I think a big part of that is what people normalize. Like I was telling Grandma, like the most successful people, all these famous people, are most likely people with like mental problems. Einstein, everyone knows, is like one of the greatest minds, but everyone also,
but he can't tie his shoes.
He's crazy.
Yes.
And like I feel
Didn't
like
own a brush either.
some people normalize you're a man, so fuss up and deal with it
Yep.
and figure it out.
I think that is the. I've had this conversation many times, but I'll sum it down to this. I think that is the most damaging thing you can tell a young man as an adult, but definitely a male figure in their life, not necessarily like their father figure, but just a male figure in their life. That is the most dangerous thing you can tell any growing man, is that it, and I feel that way because I think it's healthy to have an understanding of self and emotion. And it doesn't make you less of a man. I feel like that makes you more of one.
I don't think it has anything. I mean, yes,
In
I
the
understand
perspective of like, this is what a man should.
Right. No, I understand. But I think it's important for women too, because I think a lot of times as women, you are the caretaker,
Mhm.
and that's just kind of the roles that we take on. You're the caretaker. So if you're the caretaker, you can't take care of you, so you can't feel these things, because if you're feeling these things, then you might miss. Yep, you might miss something that somebody else is carrying, and that you want to, be there for them. And so I think that we need to make it clear that everybody needs to talk about it, whether they think it's small or big or whatever. But we also need to realize, like we said in the beginning, that other people might be going through something too. And that we need to take that moment of like, I understand that you're hurting, but I need you to listen to my hurt right now.
Yeah.
We have to be able to say that. I know you're hurting and you're having things going on, but right now I need you to listen to how I'm hurting.
Or even not that, but just an acknowledgement of like, I don't think I can do what you want me to do for you right now.
Right.
Even if it's not like I'm dealing with my own shit, or like I need you to listen to me. Even just the acknowledgement of like, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think I can do that for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a way of putting it too.
Like I told you before, if you're in a relationship and you guys break up, and then the girl is super mad at you, so she decides to lie about, oh, you raped her. Everybody's gonna believe her almost automatically. If you flip it,
I've said that about,
and say, the girl raped me, then people are gonna be like, why do you care?
Yeah, why is it that big a deal?
What's the problem?
I've said the same thing about abuse flipped. Is that if,
and like
per your point,
not even as far as rape, but like sexual assault in general.
That's what I'm saying though. Like in the same vein as what you're saying though, it goes the same for abuse. Like if a guy is like, I was abused in this relationship, everybody's like, no, the fuck you weren't.
Yeah.
There's no way you can be.
You're the guy.
There's no way that can happen. Whereas like the reverse, everybody's like, oh yeah, I understand. Like that, yeah, that happened.
Oh, here, tell me what happened.
Yeah.
Tell me what he did to you.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
But like, but that goes to what you were saying before about the ideology of like what a man is supposed to be and like what a woman is supposed to be. And I feel like in my opinion, I think that there needs to be a balance of both on both ends.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bad example, but this is the example that I used yesterday. That's why it's fresh in my head. As a man, you need to be able to shoot the deer, but you can still be upset that you killed the deer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
you can still feel.
You need to have that ability to protect the things around you, but it's okay in that to still be upset or
have like feelings about
or empathy about empathy about like the things going on around you.
Deer didn't do anything to you.
Whereas the same with women. I feel like naturally there's a nurture mothering in your DNA that we don't have. Just naturally.
Yeah.
And so a lot of women lean into that, but I feel like there were, again, going back to tribes and cultures, there were women that were hunters. There were women that were able to have kids, take care of the family, and still go out and get food and stuff. So I think
Yeah, they were called single
what's
parents.
but I feel like we need to get away from this ideology of like this is a man, this is a woman, and instead look at it as like are they doing things that make them a good person, or are they doing good things? Because I think that it all boils down to that aspect of like everybody just don't be an asshole. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's what I was telling one of my friends is like, it's not hard to be a good person.
Mhm.
You need to be wanting to try to make yourself better while making other people better.
Mhm.
And a lot of people just don't care to do that.
Mhm.
They either want to only make other people better, which destroys yourself, or only want to make yourself better, which makes everybody think you're an asshole.
I think there's a good thing that that people in AA have of be servants, serve around you. I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have in mind because I feel like that overlaps no matter what you believe. That overlaps no matter what you feel. Is that if you can just look at every situation and be like, oh, how can I be of service to this? You know what I mean? Like, I can either, if somebody drops a dollar bill, I can either grab that dollar bill, put it in my pocket, now I have a dollar, or I can be like, hey, you dropped this. You know what I mean?
And like going back to perspective, like I had told my dad I was thinking about going into the military, and he said, "Oh, so you want to be a slave?" And like I can understand it from that point of view, but how I'm looking at it as, okay, I can easily do this. I know there's simple, basic jobs that revolve into the military, and you get pensions, you get house coverage, you get college, you get a whole bunch
Healthcare.
of benefits that people
And-
don't even understand.
And they'll let you take it out of there.
And then
And by the
you
way,
also get the payment, which is like not a lot to a lot of people, and they look at it as, oh, that's not enough for what I'm doing. But then they cover your food, your medical, your college, your house. So then it's like that is all almost extra money.
You're taking away
and
all
by the
the
way,
stuff that normal
your
people.
employer, aren't you doing the same thing? Aren't you a slave to your employer?
Yeah.
So shut up,
If
okay?
if you look at it like that,
If
in
you
that
work-
point of view and
Yeah.
mindset, then
If you
you're
work
always
6 days a
slave.
week and
Yeah.
get no holidays
Yeah.
off,
For sure.
basically
Who are you to say that going into the military is wrong
If
when you're
you-
doing the same thing?
Yeah, I think a big thing about the military is it teaches a good discipline, but
Mhm.
also if you take it the wrong way, it will mess you up and give you like even worse PTSD and all types of mental problems. And then also like I said before, if you look at it into that mentality, anytime you have a boss or anyone you're following directions from, wouldn't you consider that you being a slave then?
For sure. I you have something on here that I want to talk about, and I feel like there's going to be a big part of just me and you talking, but I think it's important.
And I already know what you want to talk about.
So
Well, I feel like you're
no,
conspiring
you
against
can
me.
no,
Okay,
no,
hey,
no.
we're out.
No,
See you later.
No, you guys can chime in because it kind of applies to you, although
Oh, thanks.
you don't talk. Both of you don't really talk about it enough, in my opinion. But I want to talk about battling your emotions.
What do you mean battling your emotions?
What I meant was challenging. Oh, I'm not a good person. What are the things I do that make me a good person?
So,
And did I learn from those things that I think make me a bad person?
Mhm.
Or do I still do them?
so do you struggle more? This is to the table.
Thanks.
Do you struggle more with fighting other voices in your head, or do you struggle more with did I do the right thing in this circumstance?
Did I do the right
If that
thing in
makes
this circumstance?
I think that's what I do.
Fighting with the voices in my head continually.
Thank you. Can we talk about it?
Jesus.
Because I know that
I agree
knew
with
that was your answer.
I don't know how to talk about it. I mean, it's not to throw you under a bus, This is just a very small example.
Mhm.
Well, you know this is my bathroom.
Mhm.
And you know I bitched at you about leaving your hairbrush in there
Mhm.
like 100 times. Why do you keep doing this? And in my head, I keep going, why? And then you go, so we're saying again, you've said it 100 times. She's still going to keep doing
So
it.
is it, but I'll,
Like for you, it's
But
like,
it bugs the
it's
hell
like
out
the
of me.
smaller things.
It is a lot of small things.
but I'll make a point.
Which goes to OCD kind of.
But I'll make a point. Are the voices in your head only with situations like that? Or is it like, I don't know how to describe it. Or is it more of like, driving down the road, you could hit this car next to you.
Yeah.
You could just go down here.
I could
Yeah.
drive off a cliff.
And having to be like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
I could drive off
I
a
do
cliff
that a
right
lot.
now.
Like when I'm driving, I'm like, okay, all these cars are coming this way. I should be more over here.
I literally do it in parking lots all the time, especially when people are too far out. I'm like, I could just scrape through this whole line that isn't supposed to be here because they're too far back. But I think that adding on to the mental health thing, I think that people, that's not I've come to learn in my old age, that's not a normal thing. There are that having voices in your head and stuff like that, and even to that depth.
Is it not a normal thing, or is it something, or is it a normal thing and some people just don't acknowledge it or they don't hear it?
I think
they don't realize that that's what that is.
I think there's a degree. I think
Okay.
there's a degree to it. I think everybody has
Some
voices in their head of like, I really want to punch my boss today. Like everybody
some
like
are turned up a little louder.
Yes. I think the validity of those voices are different depending on who you are.
Yeah.
But also I feel like that plays a lot into the mental health part of it if you're not if you're not working on it and preparing yourself for it. Because if you're already dealing with like anxiety and depression and stuff, and then you, for an example, you're already dealing with all of that, and then you're sitting by yourself and you have a voice in your head being like, you should do this. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do this. No, you should do this. No, I'm not going to do this. No, this
is go to the why.
No, this
is. I really don't want to. But you should go to.
No, this is who you are. No, that's not who I am. No, this person said this. They didn't say that. Like, you know what I mean?
I argue with myself in my head
constant,
so much.
Constant. But
you're welcome.
Even agree with me.
That's why music helps so much, because it's like you're just listening.
Mm-hmm.
You're not, and then it's a distraction from all the voices.
But but if my point being, if you're not prepared and have like things or like music or whatever, and you're not working constantly on who you are, what you believe, it's something as simple as like, okay, if something as simple as like if you're praying, and I've done it, this has happened to me multiple times throughout my life. You're praying, voice in your head goes, who are you praying to? I'm praying to God. No, you're not. You're not praying to God. You're praying to the devil. No, I'm not. I'm not praying to the devil. I'm praying to God. I'm praying to God. No, you're not. What you're saying is evil. That's why you're praying. Yeah. That, if you're not prepared in yourself
to know that I am praying to God,
to know or be able to battle that yourself, that's going to add on to all the other shit you're dealing with.
I have that.
And that one is hard. That one's hard to talk about.
Like the positive and negative of every situation.
Yeah, or even like dark thoughts that you have to like fight yourself out of. Like, and that one's a hard one to talk about, because there are things that if you tell people, yeah, I was struggling with these thoughts, they're gonna be like, why the fuck would you even think that?
Yeah.
Like,
or
like look, or be concerned of like.
Or then they're going to be like, okay,
are you okay? Yeah.
Something as simple as a hug, I would think positive and negative about. Like, am I giving you a hug because I want to give you a hug, or am I giving you a hug so that you don't think I'm mad at you?
Or is this hug good enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Or what are you going to think about? If I give you a hug, are you going to think something, like, are you going to be offended that I gave you a hug? Or are you going to be like,
why are you touching me?
Why are you touching me? Yeah, kind of a thing.
Do you want me to give you a hug in this circumstance? is this the right circumstance that you want to hug? Am I just intruding on your space when I shouldn't? Yeah.
See, I just hug.
Yeah,
I don't
I've been
really-
told I give the best hugs, and I never think that way at all. I just think, dude, I'm sorry I'm bursting your bubble, but I give good hugs and just appreciate that.
But like, if I'm uncomfortable and someone gives me a hug, you'll know right away because I won't hug you back.
Mhm.
But also in that though, that's where I feel like we need to, as people, we need to understand that there is different levels, and that my level may not be the same as yours. Like you fighting yourself in I'm using this as an example. You fighting your head about the hairbrush isn't as serious as me fighting myself about whether I'm talking to
And
God or
that's
the
what-
devil. Like, you know what I
That's
mean?
what some
Other
people
than,
do.
I was going to say, when you do that, are you praying to benefit yourself?
But
Or are you praying for somebody else? Because if you're benefiting yourself, how egotistical is that? You know.
It's really
and
loud
then,
in here.
and then,
Really loud. There's
are you
lots.
really praying to God or are you praying to the devil?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because you're self-fulfilling.
Yeah. I think that's what people need to understand a lot is like you might not see your situation as severe, but it's how you deal with it that makes it so severe.
Me and Cheryl have talked about this for years, and it's something that is hard to really come to terms with, but it's helpful if you can get there. And it's not easy to do that because we're wired the opposite, but that everybody's life is valid.
Yeah.
So for not me personally, but I'm using this as an example situation. If me as a kid got molested as a child, okay, that's a really harsh trauma for me. And then some other kid had their parents got divorced. Okay, that's a harsh trauma for them. I can say your trauma is not as bad as mine, but it may be the same level to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, like when you open up about it and then you feel there's no response.
Yeah.
And
Because
you feel
that
like,
other person thinks theirs is worse.
and then you feel like, why did I even say that?
Mm-hmm.
I should have just kept that inside.
Dude, it's not a competition.
I think that's how people think though, because the concept that, you know, my trauma is just as valid as your trauma
or more.
is just as valid. Because I don't believe anyone's trauma to them is any more worse than anybody else's trauma. Your hairbrush thing is obviously is very much trauma to you. Whereas I'm sorry, if you left your underwear in my bathroom upstairs, I would pick it up.
But
Wait, okay. Wait.
I got something for you.
Then let me finish.
Okay.
To me, it'd be like, okay, that's no big deal. I'll just pick up his underwear, throw them in the laundry, and whatever. That doesn't mean that it's any less significant for you. It just means that it's not significant to me for me. So I think the fact that people have to realize those things. I also feel like that that everything is not done for a reason. There's not a reason behind everything everybody does. I personally
That's
don't
the biggest
think
thing people have to get over about God and letting bad things happen.
Yeah, I don't think that
purpose.
Everybody has a reason for why they do something. I know
I think it is.
personally, I don't have a reason for leaving the brush in there. I would say probably the biggest reason the brush gets left in the bathroom is because I get in a hurry and I'm just trying to get out of the house. It's not, oh my gosh, John's
doing it because to piss him off.
Oh yeah, like this is gonna really bother John. In the same respect,
he's gonna find it later.
He's gonna find it later and be upset. In the same fact, I don't go through life thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this because it's gonna make John's life easier. I don't think we need to do that. Just like I don't think John or you or anybody needs to go through their life thinking about how I can make everybody else's life easier. I mean, it's a nice thing to do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't.
But it's not the only thing.
It's not, it shouldn't be the only thing you're thinking about.
But also, I think acknowledgement in that. Sorry, you raised your hand. Good job.
So I will say this: how you feel, I understand how you feel. To bring up a really good counterpoint, I wake up at 3:00 in the morning. I need to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom in her bathroom upstairs, and I don't flush the toilet because I don't want to wake her up. So down the road, she says, "You know what? I'd really appreciate it if you flush the toilet." And I said, "Well, I don't want to." I said, "I don't want to wake you up.
Mhm.
I don't care. Flush the toilet." Has that ever happened again? No, because I have respect for what you said, and I flush the toilet now.
Again, you asked me, and yes, it has happened several times.
Then it wasn't me. No, I swear, I flush the toilet every single time.
Okay,
It might have
well,
been me.
okay. So,
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Sure.
Who knows?
but again, that's you. So because you
You're right.
do that does not give you the right to expect anyone else to do that. Okay. So because
Okay, we're not
you-
talking about you, right?
because you do that. I'm sorry. No, I'm saying you should not expect other people to do that because that's your thought.
Yes,
That's
but-
your process.
but
And
to-
I understand what you're saying.
But to
that
his,
that's respect, but
well, I wasn't even gonna say respect wise. I was just kind of to a point he was half making of. I think there should still be some acknowledgement in that as people too, not necessarily walking on eggshells to make sure everybody's around you is fine, but at least an acknowledgement of like, hey, I see that this thing's going on, or like, hey, I see that you're struggling with this, or like what the same with the hairbrush. Whether you change the behavior of the hairbrush thing, at least acknowledgement of like, hey, I see that this bothers you. I will try to be better. Not I will be, not every day being like, oh, I got to make sure that the hairbrush is away, or else, I told John I would work on it.
right.
But at least an acknowledgement of like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I will do my best to try.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I have said that, and I apologize
He raised his
when that
hand.
happened just there.
I want to go back to what you said about God putting you through bad situations.
Yes.
I think he does, and I think he does it on purpose, and I think he will break you down to your lowest until you're about to give up. And how you take that and how you respond is when he decides, am I going to guide you or am I going to let you be?
Why do you feel that way?
Because that was my experience.
Mm. Why do you think he did it?
I'm not sure.
Mm. My counterpoint to you would be one, that how do you know that was him specifically? And two, I feel like if that was the case, I don't feel like it's in a malicious way. I
Yeah.
think it's in the same. I would think that the perspective would be in the vein of when your kid says, "Fuck you guys, I'm gonna move out on my own. I'm gonna do it my way." You're not gonna lock them down in a room and be like, "No, you're my kid. You're gonna stay here." You're gonna let them go. You're gonna let them do whatever,
Yeah.
and you're gonna hope that you get a phone call one day of
Yes.
like, "Hey, can I come home for a little bit or something?"
No, I definitely don't think it's in a malicious way. I think it's God making you who you're meant to be.
Or showing you what you
or
can
showing
be.
you what you showing you what you can be and who he wanted you to be.
I think
And
that's
if
what I
you
hear.
go to do that and become who he wanted you to be, then he'll guide you and show you.
I think that there are a lot of avenues. I've said this for years. I feel like when it comes to God or whatever you want to call it, moving in the world, I feel like, not in a negative way, but I feel like we're just in a mousetrap. Where I feel like God will let you do wherever, but then when you start going down, he'll kind of move you of like, there are 700 different ways to get to the cheese, but you're able to move around wherever, but he'll still steer you in the right way to get to where it is. And I
If
also
you're going to
feel
walk into the mouse trap, he's going to put something
It
there to
won't-
kind of guide you.
It won't take as long for some people to get there as others.
Yep.
And for some people, it's almost 10 times longer.
And
for
there-
some people, it's almost 10 times shorter.
And
And
there-
also,
there-
to add, I feel like if it's forced too much, then you'll start neglecting God. And then that's like a whole different thing because you have to find God on your own, not necessarily on your own, but you have to want to. And when that's forced, it's like, I'm doing this because someone's forcing it upon me, not because I really want to.
There's a, to your point about some people get there faster than others. There is a story in the Bible of David, who is seen as God's, next to Jesus, God's like person. And he did everything in his power to do everything opposite of what God wanted for years. Like years and years, had whole kingdoms that were based on doing basically the opposite of what God had called them to do. Had rebuked God many times that God never existed, that God doesn't exist. I am the one through.
Yeah.
And God still pushed through his life of like, hey, I'm calling you for something. I'm calling you for something. I'm calling you for something over and over and over again until the light switch went off in his head. And then he turned into the person that God had always seen him as. He threw everything else that he had thought or taught or whatever away and moved towards this. Whereas there are other people in the Bible that it was as simple as God being like, follow me. And they were like, okay, cool.
Mary, in that case.
You're going to have the Son of Christ.
Mary is
Okay.
a 12-year-old child.
Yeah.
12-year-old child, and put with that responsibility, you're going to have, the Son of God.
Mhm.
And you can put Joseph in that same way. Here you're with this
The
12
best
That's a tough one.
the best stepdad ever.
I know, but it's still a really tough one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
know you haven't
Excuse me,
slept with
you're
her.
what?
For sure.
You know you haven't slept with her, and you're betrothed to this girl, and you're like, you did what?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
What?
know,
Yeah.
who did what? And to just be able to say, I follow you, God. I believe you, God. Yes, I will take this child as my own. I will marry her. Like you said, that
Okay.
person was right away was like, okay.
Fine. But also that depends on, I would like to think, and I this goes down a whole separate thought process that I've had for the last couple months now of like, but also I feel like that journey under pressure makes people into better people than,
Makes the coal into a diamond.
but yeah. Oh,
That's too much.
I don't like that example.
Is that too far?
Yeah, because that takes
What about a cloudy diamond?
because I'm talking a middle ground. Diamonds take way too long, coal under pressure, to become diamonds. I'm talking like there are people that are meant for a higher purpose, so it takes them longer. It takes them more
they're
struggle.
fighting it.
It takes them more, quote, training as it were, to get to a point where they're supposed to be. I had this thought. I've had this thought the last couple of months of, I would wonder if there are certain people that are only here to pass on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like-
Like do you mean it in a sense of like once you come to
Completed
your purpose
yeah.
and have completed your duty,
Mhm.
so to speak, then you would pass on?
And or in a way of, more so in a way of like, you're not here to change the world.
Mhm.
You're here to pass on your knowledge and your struggles and what you're going to the next person that will change the world.
Yeah.
That you're not, like, going back to the main character energy thought process. You're not the main character. You're only here to go through these things, to get this knowledge, to get this life experience, to do all of these things,
Mhm.
to give it to this person that's going to use it to do this thing, like this huge thing. Which is a hard thing, in my opinion, for people to grapple with, because we're inherently think that we're the one.
I think
Yeah.
everybody has that one person that you will meet in your lifetime. And it may be somebody that you talked to for 10 minutes in a bar,
Mhm.
Some late night. But everybody has some person in their life that they will come in contact with that will change their life. And it may not be like that day, like, today we went to Stadium View for lunch. It might have been somebody we talked to for 2 minutes or heard us talk to for 2 minutes that will change our lives, and it may be 10 years from now, our life will change because of, do you remember what was said? And da da da. But I think there's probably tons of people we meet that are going to be doing that. But I think there's one specific person everybody meets. Yes.
Do you think that way in only a positive manner, though?
No. I think there's people that we meet that are put in our pathway to make us
as like a learning lesson.
As a learning lesson, or for us,
test.
Yeah.
Or I guess a test is right, but I would say is more as to make us make a decision. Like, we're either going to go this way or this way, and then somebody is put in your path
Kinda
to
like
make
this-
you.
Kind of like the same thought as like from Springer for Amish people. Like,
Yes,
you
either
have to make a decision on whether you're gonna go back or
you're
not.
either going to go back. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
I was going to ask Peanut what he wants to roll to next.
How do you know we were done with that one?
Comparing.
The what?
Comparing. And what
I feel like before the mental hospital, I hated it, especially when other people would do it. Like, Grandpa would do it somewhat a lot. He would be like, but look at these other people who have it so much worse than you. Some people would kill to do the things that you've done. And I was like, feeling like that doesn't validate my situation. It's kind of like shutting down my situation, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then after the mental hospital, looking at it, like, because when I was in the mental hospital, all I was doing was comparing. I was thinking, like, there are little kids in here. That is crazy to me.
There's a scene in a movie you'll know. Well, both of you will know, but you reference it. There's a scene in a movie called Shallow Hal where he goes to the burn unit and he finally, like, it's a whole movie thing, but he finally, like, sees the real them or whatever. And it's all these kids that are, like, burned and whatever, and he kind of has this thing of like, oh shit, like,
he sees them before that.
He sees their soul, I guess
he
you
sees
said.
their soul,
And they're beautiful.
All of the kids, they're beautiful. The one little girl has beautiful blonde hair. And she's so
That's
sweet.
another thing I don't get is why would you ever judge someone or make fun of someone, especially for something they can't change?
Kids
And I'm like,
do it
that's
Peanut.
the most hurtful thing. I feel like
it's inherent in all of us. It's easier, and I don't know where that comes from. I think that's progression over time, but it's easier to be negative than it is to be positive.
Yeah,
and people are afraid of things that are
different. I feel like some people do the negative thinking positive, like joking that you're fat. You might think in the back of your mind, if I keep making fun of him that he's fat, he's going to want to not be fat and to work out and to get skinnier. But then they just see it as, what's wrong with me, kind of. Why can't I be better for you?
I'll give you, with the fat thing, I will give you a real life example for me that happened to me forever. And like, I'm probably fatter now than I've ever been. But I always thought it as everybody in my life had always mentioned that I was bigger, but it really didn't bother me to a degree. Like, there were certain instances where I was like, well, that fucking hurt. That was unnecessary. But like, overall, I embraced it in a way of like, yeah, I am. And then I did that for so long that everybody around me, my friends, would like say it to me, would be like, yeah, you're fat, or like mention it, or like, I bet you can eat all of this or whatever, like just things all the time. And because it had just been life as I knew it, there came a time that it wasn't conscious. I just started like just not eating.
Yeah.
And I was working a lot, and it was just easier. Like, I was working all the time. I would come home, I would eat maybe like something small, and I would go to sleep. I would sleep all day and then go to work and do that. And I just wasn't eating, and I got super skinny. And still at that time, people around me, my friends, because it was so common, because that's just how we had talked to each other for years.
Something that I really do.
Kept doing it, and then I always, even through that time, thought I was fat. And it wasn't until years later that I looked back and I was like, I was so, like, not deathly skinny, like that, like bones sticking out and shit, but like way skinnier than I ever would want to be.
Amish Jack.
Yeah, that's what. Well, it wasn't really that, but it's the same time frame. Yeah, but yeah, and it was one of those things that like I didn't realize how much that affected me until looking back, and I was like, oh, that's why I thought that way. Is because like it was just a constant thing of like people just saying that I was fat or whatever. And I don't think I would like to think I don't think it was malicious for most people in that way. But still it's something that we don't recognize that like our words still have impact on people. No matter where our intentions are coming from. What was your thing?
I was gonna say I couldn't pinpoint a date or how long ago, but it was this year. There was a point where I had stayed up into the next day. I didn't eat that day. And then the next day I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Mhm.
I couldn't go to sleep and I still wasn't eating. And then the next day I was like, okay, I actually want to go to sleep. And then I still couldn't go to sleep and I still couldn't eat. And then the day after it was like slowly getting back into that, like slowly, okay, I can't eat, but I can still get a smoothie or something.
Mhm.
Or there's ways I can build back up to being able to do these things. And that's one thing that's ever since then I've been having like problems eating and problems sleeping.
Mhm.
And I'm like I always think about it like if I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have this. But then I also think of it as like because I did it, now I know.
Becomes a learning experience.
Yeah.
I said that to you, and me and you talked in a different way of like I think although the situation is not the way that I would want it to happen, I think it's beneficial that you understand and are learning at a younger age than I did. Because trial by fire wise, it took me up until 24, 25 to really like understand there's some shit that I haven't dealt with and there's some shit I need to fix.
Yeah.
And so I feel like although the catalyst for that wasn't the most positive, I feel like it's going future wise going to be a lot better for you having a head start now than most people.
And then another thing, like my eating problems are wholly based on emotion. If I'm upset, I cannot eat. There was one day, a few days ago, we went to SMT, which is our program, our work-based program, and it was just a party day. It was a free day. We could do whatever. Just it was kind of like a just be social, talk, and you can do whatever you want, kind of.
Mhm.
But there was food, there was drinks, and there was whatever. And one of the teachers was like, you guys can eat. You guys eat. Do you want something to eat?" And I'm like, I can't.
Mhm.
To the point where I was almost yelling at her, like, I cannot eat. And like the other teacher knows that and was like, he just can't eat. He's upset right now.
Mhm.
And like, but she's just trying to be nice and be like, we have this food. If you want some, you can eat it. But I'm to the point where I'm like, I want to eat it.
I just
I
can't.
literally can't.
So he
So
bags
it's
it
just
up and
so
takes
irritating.
it home.
She said that too, but I was so out of it that day. And I had told the teacher I do like after the fact. I was like, I'm sorry I wasn't in the best mood today. I was really trying to be, but I was just so irritated from this morning. And she was like, yeah, I understand.
It's good that you acknowledged.
You were still very kind and nice to everyone majority of the time. Because that was also the day I had brought Jasmine.
That's what I'm saying though, like you having a leg up in that situation, whereas like it when I was your age, I wouldn't have even had the thought of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it would have just been blanketed of like I'm upset. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have the thought of like apologizing for how I was acting or like the acknowledgement of like I'm feeling this thing, so this is what happens when I feel this thing. none of that. It just would have been like an overwhelming, like, get the fuck away from me. I already told you I don't want. Like, you know what I mean?
I think a big reason why I can is because on an extreme level, the social anxiety and like the social isolation. So I'm quiet originally until I'm comfortable. So I'll just be quiet, listen, and learn. So I'm always thought like I'm not smart, just because also in the household, it's like a constant. If you don't do something right, oh, you're stupid. Why did you do that? Why would you think you can do that? This and that.
Coming from a
But
stupid
then
person.
And words matter.
Coming out of the mental hospital, having such a good psychological sense, I'm like, I am so smart.
You know how I'll make that point. Do you know how long it took me to really in myself know that?
Oh,
Ever. Up until I would say probably 7 years ago, maybe.
yeah.
6, 7 years ago. Like I knew that I was like smart in things, like certain things, but like when I would talk to people would always like I would say things or talk about things or have conversations, and the people around me would look at me or even verbally be like, okay, which made me feel like what I was saying
Was just not
was
validated.
dumb. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know how like you blow somebody off when they're like, penguins are purple, and you're like, yeah, okay, I guess. Like that's how like I always felt when I would talk, and it took me until I found somebody or people that were on the same level that I started having conversations, and they started coming back at me with things.
He calls me.
That I was like, oh shit, like I do know some things. It took me up until like 7-ish years ago to really like in myself know that of like, no, you're the reason why you were treated this way your whole childhood is because you were up here while other people were down.
You needed to understand that
I feel like that's what people fail to understand. Like people call me weird a lot, and I'm like, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want to be like you. Why would I care about you saying something about me when I want to be nothing like you? Is what I had to learn.
Yeah.
And like a big thing was like, how do I word it? Learning that every negative you can flip into just a learning lesson and being like, okay, I know this was wrong. Do I want to continue and keep doing that wrong, or do I want to be better than I used to be and grow from it?
I'll use your example.
Mine?
Yeah, since you weren't paying attention,
I was.
Use it. I will use your example. You can either, when you have cancer, say, poor me, this sucks. I can't believe that I got this. Or what am I going to use out of this? Am I going to use this as a positive thing? Am I going to be positive person coming out of this? Am I going to use this story to help another person? Or am I just going to sit in this sucky thing happen to me?
Yeah.
The reason why I relate my situation to God is because it was so extreme. It was like lowest, the best I've ever felt in like 2 days. And I'm like, that can't be nothing else than a higher power. And like I've always hated college and thinks it's the stupidest thing ever. But then now I'm like, I want to go to college for some years, see how it's like for psychology. And I told Grandpa, like, I want to go for 2 years, see how it is. And if it's good, then I want to go for 2 more.
I think in that circumstance, I feel this way about teachers, other teachers. I feel
not you.
I feel this way about teachers is that there's a shortage of people that have life experiences or a heart for that part of it that are in those positions.
I also told Grandma that I think all teachers go into it with the good intent. Like, I want to help these kids. But then they just get burnt out and tired. And they're like, okay, I'm just going to do the minimal and get my job done.
I get paid either way. So I'm just going to do these things.
It's like I'm still getting paid, so I don't need to go the extra step.
But also I feel like
they don't acknowledge when they're at that point and they just keep going too long.
But also I feel like to that point, I feel like people that have gone through stuff and have worked on it, and like you right now going into psychology, you have an understanding that most people and some people don't have,
And that's what
which would help. Which would help, even if it's just one extra person, in a way that nobody else would be able to do that.
I think that's what I failed to understand when looking like for things career wise. Like I thought being a pilot would have been cool. I thought being a nurse would have been cool. But then like thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know anything about this.
Mhm.
And then I look at psychology and I'm like, I know majority about this already.
I've said this a couple of years ago, is that was the one thing I said this to you. That's the one thing that I wish would have more time would have been put in when I was younger.
Mhm.
Is that when I went to high school, they have the test thing of what your future career should be.
Yeah.
And my future career said nothing about what I'm interested in.
I think
Oh.
that thing is
Said
such BS.
nothing.
It's based off, like I said before,
It's based off
the
of
average and the simplistic and what's acceptable
But
and what's right and what's wrong. I feel is solely based off of how majority think.
Mhm. There was nothing in there about caring for people. There was nothing in there about psychology, which I
Mine was
skipped.
just construction. And
I skipped classes to go to psychology classes in high school, and there was nothing in there when I took that test about anything that had to do with that. And at the time, I've said this before. At the time, I was like, oh, these are just the jobs that like I'm going to be good at. I don't have any interest in these jobs, so like whatever, I'll figure it out when that happens.
Mhm.
Whereas I feel like if I had any sort of direction at that point of like the psychology teacher was really cool because he let me skip classes to take his class that I wasn't getting a grade in. It was right by the door. And he said it. He's like you're really picking up on this stuff. Like you probably should like look into this. But that was one teacher out of like everybody in high school. So I was kind of just like, I have an interest in this thing, but like everything else in this school system is telling me like,
yeah,
you should go work in a factory.
That's a big reason I don't like school. Also, is because it's based in is working you into the mentality of thinking, yeah, get good at something, but you're still gonna have a boss and go work for someone else.
Mhm.
It's like
It's preparing people to go to the workforce.
Yeah.
Is what the schools
Preparing
are
people
for.
to go to the workforce.
That's what the school system, what curriculum was based on for years.
They don't now. They do teach you how to start businesses or whatever, but those business teachers don't have business.
There was one
majority
thing.
of them.
There was one thing that I remember in school, which was so weird to me that I've talked to so many people about this, and not a lot of people even know that this exists here, specifically in Wisconsin, which is really weird. But we had junior achievement, which was probably the best, single-handedly best thing in school that has ever been created.
Yeah.
What is
You literally, what is it, middle school?
Yeah.
Middle school? You go to this like warehouse, and they have all
an entrepreneur.
yeah, and they have all these like different stands, and you had to create a business. They had fake money. They had a checkbook that they showed you how to,
like that. Yeah,
and you had to make a business. So you had to like draw the sign, and you had to like what you were selling, and then the other kids would come. You got a paycheck that you had to go to the bank that was in there, cash your check, come back. And then you had fake money, and you had to use that for lunch. You had to use that for buying materials, and you had to use that for if like you wanted to go to any other shops.
I remember. I think it was called something else, but I remember doing something.
And that was, in my opinion, the best thing because that was real life practicality.
Yeah, that's what I complain about school. Is like, when am I going to use this in real life?
Mm-hmm.
When am I going to use learning about?
You may learn you may use a lot of what you learn in school, but you're not learning it you're not using it like how they teach it.
Right.
That's the only thing, I've said this, that's the only thing that I remember as an adult, and it was in that space. It wasn't really taught, like bouncing a checkbook. I know how to do that, but only because of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't taught by anything else. I wasn't taught how to make a bank account. I wasn't taught how to that I have to budget. I wasn't taught like any of these things from any other than that one space, that 1 year.
But you were taught how to add, and you were taught how
True.
to do that. But I'm saying, but in the setting you were taught it, I can see how children would say, I'm not going to use this. I'm not. Well, if you give a child a checkbook and say, this is why we're learning this,
Or even,
I think it would be better
or even if you can, or even practicality wise, you can say if you can give me $50, you can get out of class today.
Right.
If you can make this equal and make it so like the math actually adds up, so you're not just like $50, here you go. But like if you can be like, if you can figure this out and it ends up show your work being $50, you can get out of class today. That's motivation and real life practicality in the same breath. Because of course everybody's gonna want to get out of class. But also you have to learn how to do it to get that benefit.
Yeah. And that's how I teach the children that I teach, because they are a lot of them. I'm not trying to put them all in the box, but they are very literal.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to put it in terms like that they can use it. Because if you just tell somebody, well, here, I want you to make these blocks right here, and I want you to have them be, 5 plus whatever or whatever, they're going to be like, why do I care? Why do I want to do that with blocks? Why? But if you give them, like you said, a task of, if you can make this into $50, you can go wherever, or you can leave class or whatever, then that gives them, like you said, a motivation to do that.
Like a big thing for me in the mental hospital was like, there was these blocks you could stack and there was a record. So I was like, okay, before I leave here, I'm going to do this and I'm going to beat the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up doing it. But it was like, because there is already a record, I want to do better than that record. This is why I'm doing it. And the other stuff they were doing, it was like, we're just doing this as a group activity. Why do I care about this?
Right.
But then, so when they were doing that group activity, I was like building these blocks. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be better than the person who did it before. And I want to have the new
Otherwise,
record.
if they would have just set those blocks in front of you and said,
Then I'd be like,
build
I
with
don't
these blocks.
care.
Right.
So, do you guys want to keep going?
Well, I would ask him.
I just have to switch real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Go
I'm gonna
pee.
yes. Take a
Go
potty.
pee.
I'm gonna take a potty break.